Good morning, my name is Austin and I am the owner-operator of Anson's Welding. 90% of what I do here in West Michigan is I provide a mobile service to farmers, heavy equipment operators, construction sites, repair welds, things of this nature. Um, so okay. Lately we've been getting a lot more into like shop work, doing displays for local stores, specialty work for machine shops and auto garages, mechanics and whatnot. When they get if a machine shop has a defect in a bunch of parts or something and they don't necessarily have their own welder on hand, they can send them out to me and I'll fill in the crater, the crack, whatever the case may be, send it back out to them. More so lately we've been getting a lot into the like automotive side where it's maybe a garage runs into a problem and they have like a cracked manifold or things of that nature, things that are cast metals or aluminums that they don't keep a guy on hand there. When they run into that issue, once every couple months or so, they'll call me, either I'll come get the part or I'll go do it there. Lately it's been a lot of they bring it to me or I run up the road and get it, I fix it here, send it out to them, and then they just kind of bill the customer and I bill them according. But in this video, I just wanted to talk about what happens to a mobile welder, because that's about 90% of what I do when your state gets shut down due to this coronavirus. Now, as I stated, I live in West Michigan, and we are on a state stay-at-home mandate. So, as far as I can know, if a farmer calls me because they are still operational, they are essential, if I get a call from them, I will go out and provide the service they need to get back up and running so that food can get made for this year's season. But let's dive in. So we got 3 weeks so far that we're going to be stuck at home, and this video is about the end of week 1. And these are just some of the things my wife and I have done to stay busy, stay positive, and get through this. So at-home projects is one main thing. You'll see in a video down the line, it's sitting right behind me, a 5x10 utility trailer. It came to me, I was out doing a job for this excavator and he was tearing down a single wide trailer, and scrap right now is way down, but when he does it, generally he just comes out and he'll just pile up all the metal, including the I-beams that make the trailer they bring those mobile homes in on, and he'll fold it all up and haul it off to the scrapyard. This time it wasn't really even worth his time. There wasn't much there. So he called me wanting to know. He said, hey, there's tons of I-beams here. If you think you got a use for them, just come get them. They were free. All I had to do was take my truck out there, which already has the torches on it. He was even kind enough to loan me one of his trailers because I didn't have one. Loaded them. I cut them down into like 20-foot lengths. He'd load them on his trailer, hooked right back up to my truck, and hauled them home to the only cost of it. I mean, I got like 120 feet of I-beam for maybe the $20 I had in gas. Probably not even that much. It was like 10 miles away from my house. So anyways, I've been working on my utility trailer. I got the nose all put on. I cut my axle down a little while ago. Basically now all I gotta do is secure the axle, and then at least I can pull it out of this bay. So that's one of the many things. The other thing is I'm also building a new flatbed on my truck. I run a 2002 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive with a Triton V10, and that does me pretty good. It's got some miles on it, but it's a really solid truck, and I kind of built the flatbed intending, like, if something were to happen to this truck, I can pull the flatbed off and put it on another truck. But so I'm in the middle of building that too, and it's been nice, I guess, in a sense, just to kind of completely take my time and get things really nice the way I wanted them. The other thing, in the summertime, my wife and I'll put pictures in the video right here. We have kind of a little home decor side gig that we do. She's really creative, and I'll post pictures of some of what we do. It's like coat racks and signs, shelves, stuff like that. But it's just kind of a fun thing. We can, if work's slow for both of us, we can come out on a nice Saturday afternoon. We really enjoy being outside, working the shop, and we have a booth, and we'll do like shows where we set up a little booth and we go and sell. And if it's something you guys have been thinking about, I'd say go for it, because you can we didn't start with a booth. Like when I say a booth, we have a booth in a local store, and our stuff is on sale, can be sold 7 days a week, you know, and they you just pay like a fee for this little spot in the store, and you can set up and do whatever. But last year we got in kind of late, and I think we generated like $1,000 profit, which isn't bad. But anyways, so spring cleaning is another big one you can do. We've thrown out, well, we haven't thrown it out yet, but I mean, we've sorted a lot of stuff out that we don't need anymore. In fact, after I'm done making this little video today, I'm gonna clean up the shop because it's a mess. Um, so we're gonna do that. One thing we've really worked on is yard work. We have a gravel driveway, and it's been super wet and rainy the past few weeks too. So we had a lot of potholes and stuff generate. So I built a little lawnmower drag for the driveway out of a chunk of I-beam, and then I put some 1-inch spikes, and I'll put a picture of that too after I mention this. But yeah, it just hooks behind the lawnmower, drags it out, makes everything smooth. It does a good job. It takes a while going over it, but we've got nothing but time now. Um, the and we've done a lot of yard work, picking up sticks, all that kind of stuff. And she's done a lot as far as like garden prep. She actually built this little greenhouse, and it's not like a big 18 by 30 greenhouse or anything. It's like a 3 by 3 crate that she made, 3 feet by 3 feet, probably 2 feet high maybe, with walls, and I can stand up in it, but and then she's gonna wrap it all in plastic and start seeds in it, make the seeds plants, and then put the plants in our garden this summer. But and that's one of our main interests, as I mentioned before. We really like to be outdoors. Eventually, we want to have a hobby farm that supplies all of our food that we eat. No more going to the store and all that. Which in times like this, when it is the coronavirus strikes and you're locked at home, it's a really nice kind of safety net to just be like, we don't have to go get our own. We don't have to go to the store and get food. We just gotta stock up on cleaners and paper towels and all that. So that's one thing, garden prep. If you guys do a garden, or maybe you've even been thinking about it, now's a good time to kind of get ahead of the thing. But so anyways, this will be my first video on my YouTube channel, Anson's Welding, and if you made it this far in the video, thank you. I just want to talk to you real quick before I wrap this thing up about some of my goals on this channel, because I've been thinking about it for a long time. I watch a lot of welders, a lot of farmers, a lot of farmers, a lot of, I guess, ranchers, guys who maybe aren't crop farming, they're animal farming, livestock. I love all those kind of videos. I always kind of thought a YouTube channel would be interesting for me to do. It's just, when you are a mobile welder, there's times where you are working, it seems, around the clock, and there's times where you're down for a month. So I've actually kind of been shooting videos best I can, playing around with it, trying to make good content for you guys right out of the gate. And let me know, I guess, in the comments section on how this video was, because I kind of woke up this morning with the intent of what I was going to come out and do today, and then I thought, you know what, let me shoot, I guess, an intro video real quick. But so anyways, I want to provide information to guys who are maybe thinking about going on their own or getting into welding as a career in general. Definitely a lot of videos on some of the welding projects I do here. I watch a lot of YouTubers, and I don't see tons of them on YouTube, and I'm sure they're out there. If you guys are out there or you know of one, let me know their name in the comments section, because I'd love to check them out and see what kind of content they're providing. But guys who, and I mean guys who are mobile welders, own welding shops, but they are in states where you really see like the four seasons. Like I watch a lot of guys who are, Oklahoma, Texas, places you don't really get like heavy snow, because that plays a big effect on me as far as what I do, because obviously when it's negative 10 degrees outside and there's a foot of snow on the ground, you don't have guys who are out building structural buildings, or farmers aren't out in the field breaking stuff. Heavy equipment guys, your excavators, gravel trains, all that kind of stuff, they're not out working, so your work really kind of comes to a halt. So I'd like to provide a lot of information on how to deal with those, what you do, where to look for work. One thing I do is the snowplow guys. You're out pushing snow, something breaks down, I've seen a lot where um, I've had a guy this winter break a bracket on his truck, and it was physically not, I'm not going to say impossible, but it wasn't safe for him to get to the truck, back to his shop with his plow, fix it, come back and get his plow. He could have unhooked his plow and done it, but then he would have just been leaving his plow sit there, and he didn't feel comfortable with that because all them it was a Boss plow. I don't know how it is with Western and Meyer, but it was a Boss plow, and I think all them hookups are universal. They're all the same. So he thought, if I leave my plow here, he called me and says, if I leave my plow here for even an hour, it would only take somebody 10 minutes to just come up, hook up to it, and then I'd never see it again. So that was one thing, one kind of area. Road commissions, I didn't get a whole lot of work from them this year. I am fairly new to this area. My wife and I just moved here. We grew up here, moved for her work, and now we've relocated back here at home, which is an exciting thing. But another thing I get is like around fall, around November, I did have a couple calls for guys who wanted those big back blades with the wings on them that open. So I made one of those this year. Um, I built it. I built the structure of it, everything to hook up to his truck, but he actually already had a system or an idea set up for all the hydraulics, which I think, like, the ones you buy run off one pump. I think he had his running off three, and he had this big control panel sitting in his truck, so it'd be like the center one would be his up down, and then driver side wing, and then passenger side wing. It worked, and he said it was actually a pretty system to use, and it was very cost effective. But I might even build one for myself, because the next thing I want to talk about is, and I'll get into a more in-depth video because I think it is very important, especially if you're starting out, networking. So I grew up on a farm, and I'm going to use a farmer as an example. I grew up on a farm, so I'm out doing repair jobs for farmers, and there's a lot of busy time as a farmer, and there's some downtime, and some of the farmers around here can't afford to hire a hand who will stick around year round and know what they're doing. When you just start any business, really, but for me, when I started my mobile welding business, I started it and I did not have enough business to operate 40 hours a week. I would try, but one of the things I would do is, if I was out working with a farmer or an excavator, it doesn't matter, and they would ask, how's business going? And I'd say, well, if I was busy, I'd say I'm busy. If I'm slow, I'd say I'm slow. I see no real need to lie to them. I know some guys will say, oh, you should always say you're busy to make them think that you're the guy everyone wants to go see. I don't really see that. I think honesty is the best policy for me. So anyways, I was talking to this guy, and he knew I was a farmer growing up. We had horses and all sorts of kind of livestock, and we baled a lot of hay, and we would also, my dad would go make me help guys bale straw and all kinds of things, and it was great. I love that kind of work, and eventually I'd like to do a little bit for myself, but excuse me. Anyways, I was telling him, I said, yeah, I'm just trying to get started, I appreciate you calling me out. Work is kind of slow. And he'd say, well, if your work's slow, I'm really busy, and if maybe you need to grab a couple hours, throwing hay or driving the tractor, man, I'd love to have you. When you're starting, that's so important, because a lot of guys start, and I did too for a while, they start, they're working in the shop 8 to 5, and then they're doing their stuff at night. And that's how I started, nothing wrong with it. But by the time you work 8 hours in a welding shop or a fabrication shop, hard manual labor, you can do it, and then you go into your job, you're already tired, maybe you had a crappy day, you just want to get home and see your family. It's tough. It's a sacrifice we make as being entrepreneurs, but it's tough. So for me to be able to say weld on a Monday and go farm on a Tuesday, at the end of the day I'm getting my 40, 60 hours, which is where I try to float. But I mean, it's great, because then I'm starting fresh welding every day, and that's really what's good. The other thing I will say I do, if I've got 30 hours of welding work one week, I spend 10 hours trying to find work, at least, like sitting down, calling, doing whatever I need to do. And what I call it like my 1 to 10. So what I mean is, if and I'll use excavators now as a good example. If I go out and I repair a bucket on a excavator's backhoe or excavator or skid steer, and I found that to be really good work, because if say the mounting bracket's cracked, you go in there, draw out the ends, take out all the bad weldment metal, and fill it in. There's not tons of material. You have to provide for that. You got to provide your rod, your grinders, your drill. And, I mean, there's obviously your welder, your truck in there, but it's not like you got to get to the shop, spend 250 or $500 on material, spend a week fabricating it, and then get paid. No, when these guys break down, it's generally on a job. I have had cases where, and I've kind of gotten a lot of people into it, which is, I'll talk about that in a second. But I get into a job, they call me, hey, we're broke down right now, we're on a job, it's costing us money by the minute, we need you here and we need you here now. I zing right over to them, I fix it. I'm not going to say you can charge them whatever, but you can be, if it's a crack, I mean, you can run it in and out an hour, and generally them guys are pretty good about paying you right then and there. And if it only takes you an hour, I have a 2-hour minimum, but hey, they got to have it, so boom, I'm there. I had that a couple times, and then I was telling one guy, I said, I would be totally fine with coming and doing a service check to see if anything's, I'll just look over the machine. If I find any cracks, I'll tend to them there so you don't break down when you're on a job. And I've had a couple guys take the hook, and they really seem to enjoy that. Kind of, they don't have to worry about it. Because keep in mind, there's not tons of money in my area. We got one town just north of us. We have one town north of us that's about 800 people. There's a machine shop there, a lot of farmers. And then the town we're closer to is about 2,000 people, and I think there's a town a little south from there that's about 1,500. We are about an hour north of Grand Rapids and about 45 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on where you're going to, Muskegon. So we're hoping to kind of expand our horizons this summer, get down into maybe where there's a little bit more work. But anyways, a lot of these guys, they've been in it a long time. Their equipment, most of them, their equipment's older, and it's been, you know how it gets when you have old equipment. Things get away from you sometimes. So I had that a few times where, a few $100 I'd come out, and I would say generally I find cracks. I found a lot of cracks on one guy's trailer, and this was all before I started recording, but excavator cracks, all that kind of stuff. So we fix it. So I get a lot of work from there, but same thing, networking with them guys. And my brother is a excavator. He's not a large one. He's starting his own company. He started in lawn care. Now he's expanding out. But same thing with them guys. We built him a screener for to make topsoil with, screening out rocks and debris and all that kind of stuff. And I was out there doing a service call on it one time because a whole leg had busted out. And so I was welding that back in, and I wanted to make sure it would hold, because everyone starts somewhere. It's not built as heavy as it should, but it was just, hey, let's see if we can even sell this stuff. We'll do some light ones with it, and we'll do some light ones with it, and then move on. And so that's what we did, and it's worked. And this is actually going to be our second season with it. But I called him. I said, hey, it's fixed, and he was really behind on working. He said, okay, do me a favor, I'll pay you, I don't even remember what it was, X amount of money an hour, or maybe it was by the yard, I don't remember, but he said, shove as many yards through as that thing, because he had just sold 50 yards of it, and I think he only had like 20 stacked piled up. So I was like, okay, and I didn't have any other calls for that day. It was like a Friday or a Saturday or something. I thought to myself, alright, easy enough, and I made like 50 yards of topsoil for him. He got back, super impressed, and he said, you did pretty good in that thing. You want to do some jobs with me? So it's just another example of that networking, where you might not have 40 hours to 60 hours or 100 hours, however much you want to work when you initially start. You might not. And if you don't, that's okay. Use that networking to build relationships with your customers so that they want to keep you around. That's very important. That is very important. I know some guys will say, don't do jobs that aren't worth your time. This was an Amish kid, because the town we live in butts right up to an Amish community. He came to me, and he wanted a hitch. Now when I say kid, he's like 17 maybe. He wanted a hitch made on his bicycle to pull a little wagon behind it to carry his tools from job to job to job, because he was starting to do roofs. And he just pulled in. I was out here. I said, yeah, come on in. It took me maybe an hour, made the hitch, but I only charged the kid like $25, because it was all metal I got out of my scrap bin. Granted, we talked for a while. but I only charged him like 20 bucks. A month later, I get a call from his dad. His dad goes, "Hey, you did some welding for my son a while ago, and I was wondering if you wanted to come out and do some welding for me." And he does. He'll buy enclosed trailers, gut them, insulate them, put a big cooler on the front, and he rents them out for like food places. So we were doing the cutout and the brackets and everything, but it was a very profitable job. So again, had I not taken on his son's project, odds are I might not got at his father's project. They're not all going to be like that, but if you've got the time and it isn't going to break you to do it, my advice would be just go ahead and do it. And the last thing I want to talk about is schooling. I started welding when I was 14. I'm 24 now. I have 10 years from the time I first struck an arc to present day. I started welding for my dad. He owned a little trucking company, and we farmed. So I welded a lot on, not so much on farm equipment. I guess we were almost out of it at that point, but trucks and trailers and just projects needed to be done around the house. And then, of course, I got my own truck and just started going crazy on that. And then when I got out of high school, I did a year at a community college because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And the whole time he said, just be a welder, you're good at it, go to school, be a welder. And I finally did. I went to a school in Owasso, which is about 2 hours away from me over by Lansing, for any of my fellow Michiganders, which let me know in the comment section below if you are. But I went there, did a year there, got some certificates, and then went and got certified structural 7018, and then went to work into a couple different shops. I took on one job, and I'll do a video on this one separate because I don't want to get into it and make this video crazy long. I do ramble, but I sat at the end of a booth, or at the end of an assembly line in a booth, and defect parts would come in. I'd fix them, send them right back out, making catalytic converters for semis and stuff. Business located in Brighton, Michigan, which is again over in the Lansing area. And then I jumped ships from there into a little town just outside, couple towns outside of Lansing, we were making bulletproof barriers for like banks and schools and all that kind of stuff. Real high-end work. There was a lot of heavy welding on like armor plate, and then you'd kind of build and wrap everything in stainless steel, making it super presentable. And I worked there for a while. The whole time though, I was cash piling money, and I'd buy a piece of equipment here, buy a piece of equipment there. And about halfway through working for that bulletproof barrier company, I had enough money to start buying equipment. I started doing kind of my own stuff, and I really started liking it. You learn quick how to bid on jobs and figure out at what point am I going to make money on this. I did buy all of my equipment with cash. You don't have to, but when you're starting a business, especially if you already have something that's paying your bills, that's a good gig, just to not have to worry, because there were months when I was just starting out, I didn't know anybody, and I was really nervous about what I would take on, where your truck might sit idle for a week to maybe even a month, and not having to worry about big equipment payments. It was definitely a peace of mind. But and then we moved over here, or moved back here I should say, and now I've really started pushing into it, and it's been great. So anyways, if you made it this far in the video, I just wanted to say thank you. I have always thought I'm going to try and do one video a week. You're going to see this video, and then you're going to see another video that I'm going to shoot right now. It's just kind of going to be an overlay of my flatbed so far, because I'm going to get ready. It's a real rainy day here, but I'm going to pull it into the yard and power wash it. So I'll get kind of a video, because I don't want to get my camera super wet, of the overlay of it, and then I'll get a video after it's power washed. And then when it dries up, I'm going to just take a wire wheel over it, paint it. But you'll see probably just another quick video. I might even upload 3 today. This video that we're shooting now, the truck video, and then maybe something else. I'll see what I got in the bank. But anyways, please subscribe to my channel if you liked this content. Please leave a comment in the description below about maybe how you got to start in welding, whether it's mobile welding, your own business, or whatever you're doing right now. There's so many branches of welding you can do, and I love hearing stories about what people do and different stuff. If you are a mobile welder and you might have a trick or a tip for me, by all means, I am all ears. I know I am not the greatest one out there, but I do strive to be. So we'll do that. And if we get to 100 subscribers, whenever we get there, not if, but when, I would love to do some sort of giveaway, and then maybe start doing giveaways, whether it's a Anson's Welding hat, or a sticker, or maybe some gloves, or something along those lines. I definitely want to be one of those channels that takes care of its viewers. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.